You may have noticed the pieces are not in their normal starting positions. So first up, we're going to see two games. Magnus Carlsen against Vladimir Fedoshev, one of the top Russian players. And then in game 2, we're going to see him take on Hikaru Nakamura. So first up, let's go for a quick discussion. The queen and the bishop are flipped. The rook and the knight are flipped, and here, the left-hand side, the pieces are in the same position. So let's see what happens. d4. Both players start with 25 minutes on the clock, plus 10 seconds per move. d4, lots of possibilities. This bishop might come out this direction, or it might come out here. The knight is going to come out. Maybe white's going to castle. Alright, c5. d5. And now we get this. Strange. Something really strange happens now. Fedoshev. Queen d6. Breaking an opening principle, you could say. Getting the queen out early. Now, I have a feeling he might have done that because he wanted to attack the pawn. But Magnus just sacrifices it. Just like in normal chess, a good principle is you do not get your queen out early. If you take, it's too risky. I mean, the knight just comes out. You are about to trap the queen. You've got 2 pawns in the center, 2 knights in the game. Can't do this. So going back a few moves, knight here, knight g6, controlling the central squares. But Magnus is now taking over with f4. Queen and bishop defend the pawn. Black has less space in the center. Bishop a5, pin the knight to the king. And Magnus just gets out of the way with a cool move, queen f2, just ready to castle. In chess 960, the way you castle is, as long as there's nothing in the way. Between the king and the rook, you're able to castle like this. It looks really funny, but that is one of the rules. Just like in this position, you can castle, but then it's not actually that good for black, because the point of this pin was perhaps to take it, but now white has a really strong knight in the center. If we go back a few moves, castle, the king is still in the center. Fedoshev locks up with d4, attack the knight, but you have to move the knight in the center, right? Because it's being attacked? No. Danger levels. You get attacked, I'm going to attack the queen. It moves, and then knight e4. A really, really strong position for white. This knight is going to come in. This knight doesn't have a great future. This bishop is going to be really strong if the pawn ever goes forward. And then later this can come in as well. Queen and rook are already lined up. Castle. So that's what happens. King, and there's nothing in between the king and the rook. So you just press the king over the rook and you just castle normally. Looks really funny. Knight out. So many possibilities. Let me explain each arrow. So first one, knight in, as we've already said. The yellow one, the bishop has a way to come in. And the green one, well, this knight can hop in to f5. And that is exactly what it does. Fedoshev defends the square, but Magnus gets the knight in. Knight f5, hit the queen. The reason it's a question mark is because there's something stronger. f5. It's almost game over. f6. The king is not going to have any clothes on. There's no shelter. Check. And then you can get the knight in. You can get the bishop in. Very difficult to move. So going back a few moves, knight f5 is still totally winning. And it's only move 11. Magnus has a winning position already. Knight in. Take, take. Peter Fiddler once said, one goal of chess 960 is to normalize the position. By move 10, we tend to get a normal looking position. Even though it looks kind of normal, black's pieces are all on the back. By the way, the queen actually moved out, then it came back home. It looks like black has only made a knight move and a few central pawn moves. Knight out, bishop out, and queen out the way. So you don't really want to take, because then there's no support to keep the central tension. But it looks like after this, if you take, well, it looks like it's going to fall. No, check. And then f5. The knight doesn't actually have a good square. You can go knight f7, to win the rook for the knight, something like this. But there's actually something better. We go back a couple moves, keep the pressure. You keep the pressure of bishop g5, and then f6 is too dangerous. These two arrows show the black king doesn't actually have a good square. If you can check it, it's game over. So back to the game, queen e7, check, and rook f3. Really cool idea. Really cool sacrificial idea for you to look out in your own games. b5, hit the bishop. Now you can take it either way. No, don't take it. Go to d5 and you continue to threaten this sacrificial idea. Taking the center. Now's your chance to pause the video or let the timer run. Can you find a brilliant move for white? Finishing it off. No exit square for the king. You have the ability to just sacrifice your queen. What a beautiful finish. This is why Magnus moved the rook up to f3, because that's mate. You can block with the queen, doesn't matter. Mate on the next move. Look out for this pattern in your own games. So if we go back a few moves, that is it. Queen takes knight, rook f6. Beautiful move here. I didn't even see this. Actually, I think you got to play this. Yeah, it's a really nice finish. Normally the rook is in the game by now. But Magnus uses the square. Queen e8 check. Very unusual square to use. Knight takes the queen but hits the rook now. Fedosiev hits Magnus's rook, but you take the rook, and you just drop the knight back, and all of a sudden the blue bishop is the one bishop Magnus has that Fedosiev does not. Game over. Just down a piece. And after this moment, Fedosiev resigned. And the final game that we're going to look at is Magnus Carlsen against Hikaru Nakamura. So in this format, they both play 2 games. One white and black. Then we look at the scores. So in the first match between Fedosiev, it was 1.5 to Magnus. So at the moment, it's a draw. This is the second game. Let's see what happens. So first thing, before we just jump right in, let's check out the pieces that are on different squares. The bishop and the rook have switched round. King is still in the middle. The queen and the rook have switched around. These kind of positions can be difficult because if you can't get the queen in the game, it really sucks. So it's about getting that piece in the game. This bishop in the corner is not bad, because one pawn move and it's already in the game. And imagine, normally in the game, this bishop is on f1 or f8. The bishop would go here. We're going to see that soon. So b4. Let's explain every move. b4, what's the point? You get central space. The queen is in the game. Maybe the bishop can come out this way as well. d5, good move. It's already defended by the rook. In a normal game, there would be a queen here. g3, bishop in the game. Now this queen kind of sucks. c6, you defend. Got to get this queen out in a different manner. Bishop out, really cool move. So if knight here, and let's say black plays, can't do this by the way, because you just chuck your bishop. If black plays this, then you can castle. Just think of the bishop being there, because it came out this way. You can just castle like this, which we saw in the previous game. The reason you can't go knight here is because you've got this move. How annoying is this? Just bishop here attacking the rook. Then you have to waste a move on the rook. You can't castle now, unless you go this way. So that's why Magnus played bishop g2. a4, g6, hit the queen later. Hit the pawn now. Hit the queen now. Defended by the rook. Knight d6. Hikaru deliberately retreats the knight, probably controlling those 2 squares. d3. Magnus not really going for this one. I think he's going for this one, supported by the queen. Castle and castle. Normal looking position now for white. Really normal. b5. Because that's what I said before. Peter Svidler, one of the quotes he said, one of the things he said, I mean, is one goal of 960 is to normalize a position. So queen here. Big decision, gigantic decision in my opinion to capture. Because when you do this, you've got this really strange isolated pawn. If you can't get rid of that weakness, it's going to suck. So big decision, I might have kept attention with queen here. Maybe bishop out here. Bishop a bit further, perhaps. Capture played, and then queen in the game. Controlling the b5 square. c3. Defend. Then the knight can come out later. Can't come out now because the bishop just takes the pawn all of a sudden. Bishop here, threatening a discovery with this. So queen moves out of the way, and now pawn break. If white does nothing, I think that's so dangerous now. Take, take. The pieces are flowing. Even this one actually. Here, hit the rook from that direction. So going back a few moves, Magnus defends against that with d4. Now a couple of spots. 3 spots for the knight. But not yet. The knight retreats. Got to improve your worst piece. Hit the bishop. Hit the queen. Queen moves. Here I would say black is better. Let's compare the pieces. Oh, this bishop is better than this. This bishop has the potential to be opened up. I think the knights are both equally well placed. The problem is this pawn, and Nakamura gets rid of it straight away with a5. Huge move. Now if you don't play a5, maybe Nakamura was worried if you played a nothing move, rook a1, and it's going to be so difficult to get rid of this weakness. Maybe that's why he just chucked the pawn. Sacrifice the pawn, I mean. Now it's not rook here or here which is played, it's this move. When I saw this I thought, what's the idea? If you play a normal move, rook a1 to defend it, brilliant tactic here on the c file. All of a sudden, brilliant tactic. Take. Can't play queen takes because you go check first, then you pick up. If you go here, then you actually pick back up the bishop. And black is very active with the pieces. That pawn is going nowhere anytime soon. So back to the game, take, queen here, but then you defend the pawn. Okay, now if you can't get the pawn back, you're in big trouble. Right, now what? Knight e4, take, take. Okay, bishop is really well placed, this pawn is going nowhere soon. But every trade is going to help Magnus. Knight d2, good move. Hit the bishop, they come off. Now c5, good move, pawn break. If take, this is so active. Take as well. That could fall later. This is not going anywhere anytime soon. The knight and the rook got it. So now what? Well, you're not going to take. Rook c2. So if take, the rook hits the queen. Nakamura locks up. Not bad. Not bad. This bishop is now dud, or is it? Well, finds a way in. Magnus finds a way in. So first knight comes back. Because if you did a nothing move, like this, then I think e5 is strong. Bishop is really strong now. Got to play this, and there's some discoordination between the white pieces. So going back a few moves. Good move from Magnus. Stop the break. Knight retreats. Controlling the b file. Pawn break. Huge decision by Nakamura to play this. Now trades do happen, but Magnus is going to have this brilliant bishop. Take, take, and now bishop here. Perfect spot. One trick coming up, and can't believe Magnus fell for this, but we all blunder. 1 minute 37 for Nakamura, and Magnus has 5 minutes. Rook b3, really cool move to attack this pawn, right? No, it's a more dangerous idea. And Nakamura fell for it. Magnus fell for it. He went a6. Blunder. So now's your chance. Pause the video or just let the timer run. Can you find a brilliant winning move for black? Didn't expect Magnus to fall for it. Queen e4 check. Just picking up the rook. If we go back a move, one option, go f3. I think that's a really classy move. Guard the square. Rook defends both. Also, bishop can come back. So f3 is a class move. All the squares are covered. a6 played. We all blunder. Check. Hit the rook. And we're down the rook. Queen in. check. Good move from Nakamura, swapping pieces off, but it's game over. Really cool move here. Attacking both. No chance for Magnus to create any play. Queen b7. Clean finish. Very, very clean finish from black. Take. Now you give back some material, but it's rook against bishop. How to win this? Get the king in, get the rook in, and come over. You just come over. Game over. White's now resigned. The reason it's over, the king walks in, and one strategy is to queen the pawn. The pawn is in a way, so you sack the rook, something like this here. So let's say white can't really come in because you lose that one. And you come after this. So let's say white just hangs around here. King b3, rook here, take. Rook moves away, push, game over. Something like this. Even worse, you could just push it, you could even sack, and you are going to get your queen, just completely winning the race. So total turnaround for Nakamura. Really cool to see these top players playing Fischer random chess. Here we have the standings. Abdul Sotorov at the top. He is Uzbekistan #1. Nepo, Wesley So, Carlsen from Iceland. He's taking part because this event is happening in Reykjavik. Nakamura, Carlsen, Fedosiv, Bloombaum. Because he is at the top, I'm going to recommend a video showing how he won the World Rapid Championship. He played a really strange line in the English opening, and I check out a few of his victories.